Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today, thank you for watching. I think it's understandable that we all know that the police don't act with due diligence and impartiality. That's just my opinion. As always, your opinion may vary on that point. The Essex Police Force have just had a television conference and they reiterated their commitment to community cohesion, and they are dead against any sort of local violence or any agitators against any protests. They denied busing any counter-protestors into the area or driving any counter-protestors into the area. So they went on record and they denied that completely regarding the Epping Forest Hotel and the rightful concern of locals in the area. That's how you lie by omission. They are factually correct. They didn't bus any people in to the area, and they didn't drive any people in to the area, but they did escort them on foot. So we're going to play this clip now because they did escort them on foot. Let's just see.
Seriously, look at the state of it. Look at them all their balaclavas on. Mate.
Okay. I'm on record. My opinion is the same thing happened last year after Southport. The protesters were not just local. The counter-protesters were on a national and international scale. They were bussed in from all over the United Kingdom, and they were bussed in to Liverpool to counter-demonstrate. So it was a similar operation to what's happened down in Essex, but it was on a much larger scale because the scale of the outrage was much larger than down in the east of England. Now, you need to be aware of the tactics that the police force will use. They will lie by omission. They'll lie by giving an answer that seems to answer the question, but they haven't actually admitted the truth. Now, Charlie Peters from GB News actually had a very good point, and I'm going to bring up that point now. Let's just see now. First of all, quick glance at the article, where the police did admit that they did escort the protesters up to the actual protest, the counter-protesters. They were escorted up by the police, so they did readily admit that, which is why the press conference today was necessary. Then Charlie Peters, as I say, good fellow, and he seems to be very smart with a good head on his shoulders. He asked a very clear question. When asked to comment on the decision to bring the protest groups together, the Chief Constable Harrington stated it wasn't for him to comment on operational decisions. Why was he delivering a press conference today if it wasn't anything to do with him? This is the managerial state in work. This is how it works in practice. If you never take responsibility, just like any government minister never takes responsibility for their failings, it's not your fault. You can always point at somebody else and say, well, it's their fault, it's not my fault. It's unacceptable. We demand better. I demand better. We demand better. I'll ask you this now, and be honest. Comment below. If there was a group of what the Prime Minister would describe as far-right thugs going to any of these protests all over the country, do you think you would receive a police escort to the protest site, or would you be told to disperse? I remember after the Southport atrocity, and there was the warning to say you can't go out and protest anymore, and they had those dispersal orders in place. I rung my local constabulary and I asked the question, am I allowed to protest? And they said, no, you're not allowed to protest. They actively told people to stay away. They told people to go home. They told people not to go out and protest because you'll be treated as a rioter. So, if you're treated with kid gloves one side and you're given the full brunt of the law on the other side, there's only one reason for that. If you're inside the narrative, if you're inside the Overton window where the government is on things, or you're outside without wanting change. I'm going to play you two clips now. One is from a concerned resident, and one is from a protester that's bussed in. And you can tell me which one you side with.
Out here today with the protest that's going on.
So me and my girlfriend, we stay in Canary Wharf. My girlfriend is a legal immigrant from Hong Kong. She's beautiful, smart, contributes a lot to society. She spent probably £50,000 moving to the UK. She works very hard, pays a lot of taxes, and one of her biggest concerns is London is her safety. When she's walking about London sometimes, especially central London, she feels a bit scared. She says there's lots of foreign men walking about, it can be very scary at times. And I'm very concerned with that, because I don't always stay in Canary Wharf, I go back to Scotland sometimes. And I'm very concerned that when I go back to Scotland and I'm not around protecting them, there's going to be 500, 600 strange men walking about the street. If I'm wrong and these are all women and children, then I'm happy to welcome them. If it is women and children genuinely fleeing from tragedy, like a lot of UK people. But I guarantee these people are not women and children. I guarantee these are men who came here illegally, who are not contributing. As I said, my girlfriend spent £50,000. I guarantee these men did not spend £50,000 coming to the UK. I guarantee them not paying any taxes. And I guarantee the crime area goes up in Canary Wharf. If you have a wee look round the corner, I've lived here. There's lots of immigrants making a mess. There's also lots of immigrants contributing to the UK. There's lots of Chinese immigrants, people from Hong Kong who do a fantastic job opening businesses, contributing. And I just guarantee that these people are not going to be contributing. I think most people in the UK are fairly intelligent, and I just think a lot of people find it fairly hard to articulate their thoughts. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting your country to stay kind of trustworthy and have good people in your country. Don't ever let the government, don't ever let the media tell you that it's wrong to want nice people in your country. It's not. I understand not all of us are very articulate. I'm sometimes not very articulate, but I just believe if you're a good person, you want to contribute to the UK, we would happily accept you with open arms. But for too long you've been taking the piss out of us and we're fed up. Normal people are fed up. There's lots of intelligent, smart people in the UK and we're very open to everybody in the world, but you've been taking the piss out of us and we're fucking fed up. We're fed up with you. Stop taking the piss out of us. We're going to get very angry very soon, and I promise you it's not going to be okay. You're going to regret it, okay?
So we'll leave that one there. I'll play the second clip now. Now this has been making the rounds because it is hilarious. The person at the end gets a bit sweary, so I won't be able to show the end of it. But this is what you're dealing with. This is the level of stupidity that's elected in this country. This is a Green councillor, and she went to Canary Wharf because she wanted to make you know that she thinks refugees are welcome here. So we're going to play this clip now.
I just think it's really, really important for people to understand that there are no safe and legal routes for refugees to come to this country. This is the only way they can come here.
That's a lie. You can get a £30 plane ticket from Paris or wherever in France over to the UK as soon as you land in the airport in the UK with your documents, of course. Claim asylum. You can do it that way. You don't have to pay £5,000, £10,000 to a people smuggler. So she's lying there. That would be a safe and legal route. Get a plane ticket over with your passport, present your documents, take your chances. The only reason you wouldn't do that is if you're here with dishonest intentions or even cruel intentions. That would be the only reason that you would do it the way that they're doing it. Every single boat person that comes over to the country is not trustworthy because they're not doing it a way that a trustworthy person would do it.
On a boat to pay. Yeah, they've got the whole of Europe. But why should we put that burden on the rest of Europe?
Because I don't want a single refugee in the country, especially illegal boat people, okay? I would happily take Ukrainian refugees. I would happily take Hong Kongers as refugees. We have an obligation to those places, and that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about lowering legal migration into the United Kingdom to the tens of thousands and stopping illegal migration completely. That would be that's my starting point, okay? Anything else is a waste of my time. This midwit can, well, do what the guy later in the video tells us to do, actually, so.
But do you not think?
We still have to take responsibility for the fact that we have a lot of stakes in the conflicts and the climate crisis that causes people to be refugees and have to come to another country. They're not choosing to leave their country at their home, their children, their parents.
I think that's the first time she's ever been told to bog off, basically. I'm being a bit more diplomatic. But that's what you're dealing with. Now, back to the point of the police. They're not impartial. And I've actually submitted some Freedom of Information requests with Cheshire Police, my constabulary, and Merseyside Police. I want to know what happened in Southport last year. I want to know what happened in Liverpool with the protests. I want to know why peaceful protesters, local people, residents in Southport and Liverpool, were antagonised and pushed over the edge by professional agitators that came in. The subject of the police being impartial is crucial here. If you're treating one side differently to the other side, you are breaching your oath of allegiance, which means that you should be performing your duties impartially. I do not buy the non-answers from the Essex Police today. They are enforced mouthpieces of the regime. They are the foot soldiers of Keir Starmer. The NGOs, the non-government organisations that organise all of these protests, in my opinion, they are the ones that are facilitating the entire thing. This is why the government has these arm's length companies and charities that they can mobilise, because then they can have what's known as plausible deniability. It's out of their purview, and these NGOs, these non-government organisations, aren't subject to Freedom of Information requests. So the information I've requested off the police and the Home Office, they may get back to me and say, we can't discuss it because it's all facilitated by these NGOs. I don't want to be funding them. If that's the case, I don't want to be funding them. They shouldn't be getting a penny of my money. And there should be balance. There should be right-wing NGOs that get equal funding, in my opinion. If you believe the police are telling the truth, if you believe the police can be trusted, you let me know. If you think I'm being overly harsh, let me know. As always, comment, like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Remember, if you go out and protest, remain peaceful, do as instructed, and never give the police a reason to come down on you like a ton of bricks, because you know they are not on your side. I appreciate your time. Have a good afternoon.